Hey, what's up YouTube? My name is Mr. Kyle Cohen. I'm a 4th grade teacher in Cleveland, Ohio, and today I'm going to be sharing 20 things I learned in 2020. Let's get into it. The first thing I learned in 2020 is the importance of being flexible. Now, as a teacher, I'm a big planner. I like to have every minute of every day planned out to reduce my stress, my anxiety, and to make sure that things are running as smoothly as possible in my classroom. Given the nature of the 2020 school year, it was literally impossible to plan. It was really hard to plan in terms of pacing, like what every week is going to look like, because I barely even knew what every day was going to look like. I started my school year off teaching hybrid, so having half of my students half of the time. I then had all of my students all of the time, then we went back to hybrid, then we went back to everybody, and ultimately we ended the school year out fully remote. So planning when it comes to what's going on in my classroom just simply wasn't possible. So this year more than ever, I learned the importance of remaining flexible in order to provide all of my students with an education that they deserve. In order to fully remain flexible this school year, I abandoned my traditional style of paper planners. I found that back in March when we shifted 100% to remote learning, all of my plans in my planner were just gone, and the erasing and the crossing off just wasn't working for me, because once you write something down, you can't just cross it off. That wasn't going to fly. I had to find a new way to plan, and for me, digital planning became really, really effective. I fully transformed all of my planning to be 100% digital, and that made it so that I could change my plans constantly. I made an entire video dedicated to this app that I love called WISHLIST. It has fully streamlined my planning. It has kept me as flexible as possible because things have been constantly changing, and they're going to be inevitably changing for the foreseeable future. Another really important lesson that I learned this year is the importance of calling your family and friends often. We're living through a pandemic, and there has been so much tragedy and so much trauma throughout this entire experience, and remembering the people in your life who keep you going, the people in your life who fill you up, who make you the person that you are, these are the people who you need to be staying in touch with. And life is too short to not live each and every day to its fullest, especially given the time that we're living in. So I found that calling my family, calling my friends, calling my grandparents, calling them often was something that I needed to be doing to both maintain my sanity, but also just make sure I'm staying in touch with those who I care most about. Something that I never was really doing before 2020 was really paying attention to where I'm spending my money. The pandemic obviously hit local businesses in a way that some haven't even recovered from or never will recover from. So this year I really took to heart the importance of supporting local businesses as much as I possibly can. Whenever I was eating out, I was trying to get carry out from restaurants that were local. Whenever I was doing shopping, like during the holidays for family and friends, I tried my best to shop locally as well. Supporting our local economy, our local businesses that are staples here in Cleveland was something that was really important this year more than ever before. Before this year, when it came to planning out what I was doing in the classroom with my students, I never paid too much attention to the actual format of the lessons. I was constantly integrating technology into the classroom, so I wasn't really trying to think, now I'm going to have a technology lesson, or now we're going to have a paper and pencil lesson. I was doing all of these things all of the time. This year, however, when I was planning, I found it really helpful to plan activities that could be used for in the classroom, in some sort of hybrid model, or if we were 100% online. We were often told on a Thursday that Monday would be totally different, or on Friday that Monday would be totally different. So I needed to have things in place that could be quickly shifted from one format to the next. If we spontaneously were teaching all students in person instead of being on our hybrid model, I would have all of these videos that we had created, my team and I, in order to push out to students for asynchronous learning with hybrid. But it was really effective to still have those videos for students in class. I would be pulling small groups, for example, and I would have students engage with a video asynchronously that me or someone on my team had created. And that is something that I plan to be doing even after this pandemic is over. Meal prepping is something that I did not do my first year of teaching because I didn't have time. In your first few years of teaching, you really don't have time for anything. It's just like the nature of this work. It is so time consuming, it is so exhausting. You don't really find yourself with a lot of free time, but something that I regret not doing sooner, something that I regret not doing before this year was meal prepping. I have posted a few different videos on my channel about meal prepping and some of my favorite meals that I have meal prepped, but meal prepping has saved me so much time this year. I find that if I take the time to grocery shop on Sunday, meal prep on Sunday, I am freeing up so much time during the week. There was nothing that I hated more. There's still nothing that I hate more than 9 o'clock at night rolling around and I haven't actually thought about what I'm packing for lunch the next day. And when you're teaching in person and you're up early and you're out the door, the last thing you want to be doing is packing your lunch the morning of. So taking the time to meal prep on Sunday, have everything ready for the upcoming week is such a time saver. It's such a relief each and every morning that you could just grab your lunch from the fridge and get out the door, because every minute in the morning is extremely valuable and every second of sleep that I could be getting is necessary. So meal prepping was something that I really got into this year and something that I'm excited to be expanding upon and continuing to do in the future. Now, I know I present as a huge bodybuilder and someone who's extremely fit and active, but I actually really dislike working out. I've never really been a huge fan of working out. I would much rather lay on the couch on my computer than go out and go for a jog. Actually, I still don't go for a jog. If I haven't made it clear, I don't like to work out. But when we all shut down in March, I wasn't moving. I was sitting at this desk all day doing work, engaging with students remotely, and I was using my watch and it was telling me to get up and move and do something, and it was driving me crazy. But something that I've really fallen in love with in 2020 has been cycling. A local cycle studio here in Cleveland has been renting out bikes on a month-to-month basis. So me and my roommate, we got a bike, we are renting it out, we are doing Peloton classes, we're doing local studio classes again to try to support local businesses here in Cleveland. Having the ability to have the bike here in my apartment to work out before school or after school while gyms and other fitness studios are closed has been so important for my physical wellness this year. Let's talk a little bit about weekends. Now, before this pandemic, I was someone who loved going out on the weekends. I loved being with my friends, going to bars and restaurants and getting ice cream and seeing movies and going to shows and concerts and all these things, right? I really prioritized my weekends for social and fun. When I became a teacher and I entered the classroom at age 22, I was surrounded by children all day, and most of my coworkers were older than me as well, so I was really not having any opportunities to hang out with people my own age. So the weekends were so important to me to just be with people my own age, to meet new people, to form relationships, and when we shut down in March, that obviously was taken away. I still had the opportunity to hang out with friends on Zoom and video chat, but it just wasn't the same, and in the beginning of the pandemic, I was really in my own head about this. And before the pandemic, I was really in my own head about this. As an extrovert, before this pandemic, if I was staying at home on a Friday or Saturday, I was either sick or so exhausted that I needed to get sleep. And if I was at home or if I didn't have plans, I would be on Snapchat or Instagram and I would see people who were out doing things that were more fun than what I was doing, and I would be comparing myself and having FOMO and falling into this really unhealthy trap of wanting to go be social, but I just was really tired and exhausted and I was at home, and then I would stay home and I would just be more upset, and I was in this really horrible cycle of doing that, but not being able to go out and be social and be with other people and do all of these things that were so important to me before. It has really forced me to think about what's most important, and I have really come to terms with the fact that it's really okay to have a night in, it's really okay to have a weekend in, to relax, to take care of myself, to refuel. I no longer am finding myself comparing myself to anyone else in their seemingly very social life, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, both because no one's doing anything, but also because I've realized that it's just more important to do what I feel like I need to do for my own wellness instead of comparing myself to what others are doing. 2020 has also taught me that as someone who lives in Cleveland, Ohio, when it is nice outside, I need to be outside. I get so much energy from nice weather, from being outside. It really fills me up. And when I find the 5 seconds a day when it is not snowing or cold, especially right now in the winter, I'm gonna go outside, I'm gonna go for a walk, and I'm going to refuel with some fresh air. Something that I find really important as a working professional is having a deep understanding for when you are most productive. For me, as a graduate student, as a teacher, I have found that I am my most productive self in the morning. I am able to produce my most high quality work in the morning. I am not someone who can work late at night. That has been true for me in high school and in college. Post 10 o'clock, anything that has to do with work, I can't do it. So those people who can work at like 1 in the morning, kudos to you, but that's not me. I need to get up, get to work, and be productive because my best thinking, my highest quality of work comes in the morning. If you are someone who works at home, you know the struggle of finding work-life balance. When you are constantly at home, it's hard to really separate work from home. It's much easier when I show up to my school each and every day. I work, I teach, I do my thing, I get in my car, and I drive home. There's a very clear barrier. There's a very clear separation. But when I'm working and teaching from home, it's all kind of a blur. It becomes really easy to, at 5 o'clock, check emails, at 7 o'clock at night, work on some lesson plans, make sure my slides and the fonts and everything is perfectly coordinating at 11 p.m. because why not? There's nothing else to do. We're in a pandemic. But I have found that in order to maintain my mental health, I need to have a firm barrier. I need to separate work from home. I need my brain to say to itself, okay, Kyle, this is work time, so focus. Or Kyle, take it easy because I will burn myself out. I will work around the clock. It's just kind of who I am. It's what I do. So for me, and this year, that looked like following my contract hours. At the school that I currently work at, my contract hours are from 8:30 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. So I have found that if I fully maximize each and every minute from 8:30 until 4, by the time 4 o'clock rolls around, I am not only ready to log off, but I am able to log off because all of my work is done and I am ready for the days to come. Now, it took me a few years in order to build up the systems and routines in order to not really work outside of my contract hours. As a first-year teacher, it's really hard to keep to your contract hours because you're a first-year teacher and everything is difficult. As someone who has now been at this for a couple of years, I have been able to really maximize my time during the day. So 8:30 to 4 o'clock, if I grind during those hours, I'm able to, at 4, disconnect, turn it off, focus on me, focus on everything else I want to be doing, and it has been really great for my productivity and for my ability to not burn out during this pandemic. Something else that I have found that is really important for me and my productivity is making sure I have a designated workspace. Again, when you are working from home, it's really tempting to just lay in your bed and get all of your work done there, or sit at the kitchen table, or to lay on the couch, because why not? You can. But in order for me to feel really productive, I need to have a dedicated workspace. When I am sitting at my desk, I am not thinking about anything else. I am focused on everything that I need to be getting done. And when I am laying on my couch, I'm thinking about nothing. Something else that 2020 has taught me when I'm spending more time at home than ever before is maintaining a clean living space. It's really easy when you are working and living at home to just let things kind of go by without taking care of them. No one wants to live or work in a place that isn't well kept, that isn't clean, that doesn't smell good. So doing small things like frequently taking out the trash, staying on top of dishes, making sure bathrooms are clean, maintaining a clean and productive workspace, a clean and productive home living space has been so important to me and my sanity this year. Working from home this year has made me really appreciate the small things, and one great example of that is drinking my coffee in the morning. Having the ability to wake up slowly, enjoy a cup of coffee, enjoy eating a true breakfast has been something that I have never really experienced previously. I have shared already that I used to be the kind of person who was constantly on the go. I would wake up, I would rush to work, I would be so busy at work trying to do all the things that I have to do as a teacher that I would never find the time to actually embrace the small things. Having the ability to just have a slow start and really enjoy the small things like my cup of coffee has been such a positive that has come from this year, and something that I look forward to incorporating into my routine in years to come. Now, this next lesson might seem a little bit ridiculous, but something that I truly learned in 2020 is the importance of proper hygiene. I'm not talking about wearing deodorant and brushing your teeth. I'm talking about washing your hands. I'm talking about making sure that we're staying really clean. These weren't really things that I was thinking about before 2020. I mean, I fortunately have the privilege that I hadn't had to think about those things before this year. I never really thought about where I was putting my phone down, right? I wasn't thinking about the fact that I would put my phone down on a table at a restaurant and then put it on my desk at work and then use my phone in bed. But 2020 has forced me to think about the importance of keeping things clean and sanitary and all of the things in between. You know another major lesson that came out of 2020? How great slippers are. I never had slippers before. Slippers were a big addition to 2020 and something that I will never be able to live without, so shout out to slippers. This year also taught me the importance of healthy distractors. Now, whether this is working out or some sort of other hobby, it was really important for me to have the ability to distract myself in a healthy way from all of the insanity that was this year. Some people love to read, some people love to journal, some people love to exercise. We all have different hobbies, and for me, it was really important to make sure that I had some things in my tool belt ready to go for when I needed it this year, for when my stress got so high that I needed to distract myself. Now, there's a time and place for facing what you're going through head on, and there are other times for a healthy distraction. A lot of my hobbies before this year involved hanging out with friends and family and doing all sorts of fun things, and a lot of those weren't possible this year. I fortunately had two big distractors this year. Number one, this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel came at the perfect time for me as a way to fully engulf myself in something that feels meaningful. And number two has been going on walks and listening to podcasts. Before 2020, I don't think I ever just went on a walk to go on a walk. It just never was something that I did. I never had time to go on a walk. It has been such a great way for me to decompress, for me to get my mind off of whatever is stressing me out, and has been such a healthy distractor for me this year. Another lesson that I learned this year is that there is a huge difference between supporting a cause in actively fighting for change. Following the death of George Floyd this summer, I, like many white people in this country, had a reckoning with ourselves that I am not doing enough, that I, Kyle Cohen, am not doing enough to actively consider myself an anti-racist. I was doing a lot of work before to push myself one step further towards this idea of anti-racism, but I never was fully there. And although I feel like I was doing a decent job before, 2020 really forced me to look myself in the mirror and to ensure that I am doing everything I physically can to educate myself, to make mistakes, learn from them, and think about my role in our greater system in order to pursue a world that all of my students deserve to live in. Sometimes this work gets so hard that it is really challenging to remember your why. It's really challenging to remember why you chose to go into this work, because you're definitely not getting paid enough to make it worthwhile, and you're definitely not getting the fame that makes it worthwhile. You are getting the joy of being in a classroom with kids, and when that is taken away, it's really hard to find the light, and it's really hard to find those positive moments of joy. But remembering that moving forward is a lesson that I am really grateful that I had. I'm going to remember 2020 as the year that I wished more than anything I could be with kids in a classroom, teaching them, showing up for them, and I think it's really important that we all had this lesson. And the 20th lesson that came out of 2020 for me is the fact that I need to be doing things that make me uncomfortable. Starting this YouTube channel was one of the scariest things that I have ever done. For years, I have loved following people here on YouTube. I have followed Pocketful of Primary for as long as I can remember. Gary Vaynerchuk and Casey Neistat were making vlogs that made me think to myself, wow, I want to do that. I want to be sharing my voice on this platform. I have always loved editing videos, creating videos. I would create videos that I would prepare for YouTube, but never actually upload them because I was constantly thinking about how others would perceive me and the videos that I am creating. 2020 forced me to get out of my own head, to embrace the fact that there is no day but today, and I am so grateful that I found the courage and vulnerability to upload videos to YouTube, because this community that we have formed here, this healthy distraction from everything that has been going on, has been so amazing for me, and it's been so perfectly timed. I am so grateful for each and every one of you who has made the choice to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you for following along on this journey so far this year and what it has been like for me to teach in this pandemic. I'm really excited to see where 2021 takes me and this channel. None of us were expecting 2020. None of us thought that this was going to be our reality. But I'm so grateful that I was able to learn these 20 things in particular this year, that I'm able to take these 20 lessons into my future, and hopefully that 2021 will be that year that we all had hoped 2020 to be. If you have not already done so, make sure you hit that red subscription button down below so that you do not miss out on any future videos. As always, thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate you being here, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you.